Let's get more on the story and bring in live Negah Angha, who's visiting fellow at King's College in London. Negah, thanks very much for being with us here on France 24. We always appreciate your time. Do you think, from what we're hearing, and we're not hearing the full side of everything, of course, at this present moment in time, but do you feel that Tehran and Washington at this point are actually on the same page?
Good evening. Thanks for having me. Look, I would say the big picture tonight is that they've reached some genuine phase one de-escalation framework. I think that's where we can say that they're on the same page. It's not durable peace. I don't think we're there yet. But what both parties are seeing is that this is bringing about immediate gains. Obviously, as you were just mentioning, there's lower oil prices, there's a path to reopening the Hormuz, there's a pause in the direct war. And so that element, one can easily say they both feel that they're on the same page, but there's a lot of various technical bits, and they're both essentially, and more so on the Iranian side, has been very vocal about this. The real test is going to be whether or not this framework survives sort of the Lebanon angle, and whether it can, on the American side, really be translated into some sort of nuclear framework.
The Lebanon issue clearly is one of a sort of parallel war happening at the same time. And clearly Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu seem to be of a different opinion about what happens next. Netanyahu is saying that Israel will stay in the buffer zone for as long as Israel wants, basically. He's also going to stand again in the election, so perhaps no surprise there. Do you feel that Lebanon could be a true obstacle to this going forward?
Absolutely. I think a great deal of danger really lies with the Lebanon file here. Iran has been very clear that it's not a sideshow, that it is essentially considered the first implementation test. I think it was the Iranian Foreign Ministry that came out again that said Lebanon is an integral part of the agreement, that the draft mentions it 3 times. Obviously, we haven't seen the draft to be able to verify it, but there's been quite a bit of sort of concerted effort, both on the Iranian side and the Hezbollah side, to say how important these components are, that restraint is incredibly important by Israel in this particular case. Again, it'll be interesting to see, how much restraint is endured between now and Friday, and what that means after Friday. But that is the one area of derailment that I see that I would be really concerned about.
With your national security experience, your State Department experience, what kind of moves do you think the US will be making on Israel right now to make sure they stay on the same page?
Look, it's going to be a full court press of making sure there's engagement across all levels of the Israeli government and society to ensure that this element doesn't get derailed. That there's this there's this concern, especially from sort of the U.S. domestic sort of platform, that the U.S.-Iran sort of essentially quote unquote peace deal needs to happen before midterm elections. So I think there's going to be a concerted effort to talk about what this means domestically in the United States. Obviously, there's been a lot of conversations on the impact of how Israel operates and what that means with the security assistance package that the United States provides to Israel. So quite a bit is getting intertwined to ensure that these talks do not get derailed in any way.
Iran is referred to as being defeated, annihilated, all manner of absolutist words by Donald Trump. But is the reality really right now, Negah, that the Iranians aren't the defeated beast that Trump would have you believe they are?
I think Iran right now feels, quite frankly, they feel emboldened. I think they feel that they haven't been essentially destroyed by these major powers that are the U.S. and Israel, that they were able to maintain control, that they haven't capitulated under pressure. So I do think there's quite a bit that they do feel emboldened. Now, whether that's true or not, we'll have to see. As time goes on over the course of the next few months, while these negotiations happen, or once an agreement is held. But right now, they're holding tight. It's also an element of what they're projecting as well to their regional neighbors, that they have been able to hold their ground in such a conflict. So um, again, it's we'll have to see what happens. But as of right now, the Iranian regime hasn't capitulated in any way.
And the Strait of Hormuz, Negah, perhaps the last question, because I know I've kept you for quite a bit of time here. The Strait of Hormuz, clearly a very key waterway for all aspects of trade going in and out of the Persian Gulf. Of course, principally oil is what we're talking about, and the effect that has had on the knock-on effect on, say, let's talk about the G7 nations. There's one G7 nation who's involved in this. Of course, 6 are counting the cost to everybody's pockets because of the rise of the price of petrol, and that is set to continue. Do you feel that Iran will look upon what is happening there now as a victory, given that it could be putting levies on ships going through into that waterway going forward, depending on how things turn out this week?
Iran definitely has seen that waterway turn into its stick in this entire negotiation approach. They've also, signaled that they will use the Red Sea as well as sort of the additional lever if they needed to. I mean, they obviously provided that kind of messaging just a few days ago against Israel. So. Absolutely. To answer your question, I think they're going to continue. I think it's going to be a huge negotiating sort of component going forward. They're going to continue to use that as a stick because they saw the impact that it had. I mean, right now, politically, the reopening of the strait is a breakthrough. It's a major breakthrough, but commercially, it's still a lot slower. It's still a lot messier, and we're going to have to see how messy and how slow that process is going to be, and sort of the second and tertiary impacts it will have on the commercial markets. And Iran will use essentially that information going forward in their negotiation tactics to ask for more things, whether it's sanctions relief, asking for their frozen funds to be returned. All those sorts of components will come along in parallel.
Indeed, Negah, Iran looking for reparations money. Of course, they've cited that as one reason for slapping a tariff on any ship that goes through the Strait of Hormuz. Astronomical sums of money mentioned, which, of course, it's worth pointing out, in the shape of things, would all be passed on to the consumer across the world. So once again, it's the ordinary person who goes shopping and gets hit in the pocket very badly by decisions made by people in power. I'm wondering what the knock-on effect is going to be of this conflict when it's resolved or not across the entire Gulf region, because clearly there is now a doubt from all those countries there about what happens from Iran, but also what happens from the US, what happens from Israel. It must make their lives now a little bit more or a little bit less safe and secure.
Well, in terms of the regional component, yes, I think you have quite a bit of these regional capitals, assessing the situation, assessing their relationships with different sort of not only with neighbors, but where they get their security assistance from, and whether they need to diversify, how they should diversify in terms of the economic security that they can provide not only to their own citizens, but quite a bit of expats that work and operate in that region. Again, it's required them to rethink quite a bit of that process and relationship. So I think, again, right now we're in that a bit of a haze of a situation where we have to see what happens over the next few weeks and few months. Again, after Friday, theoretically, both parties are supposed to sit down and go through technical negotiations for 60 days. I think that's when quite a bit of those capitals are going to be reading the tea leaves, seeing how this process is going to move forward. But this has been an eye-opening experience for the region because they assumed that they were going to be, safe from these sorts of attacks by neighbors. So this is we're going to have to see how this changes the geopolitical dynamics in the region.
Negah Angha, visiting fellow at King's College London, among other things, of course, vastly experienced in the US State Department and national security systems too. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for giving us your assessment of the situation. Of course, we'll watch for all developments going forward. The signing of this deal expected on Friday. Much could happen between now and then, and of course, we'll bring you all the analysis as it happens. And thanks again to Negah Angha for joining us.